And nobody would have known I buried him under the floorboards if it weren't for my pesky neighbor.
Dear Shandy. Welcome back to another Dear Shandy Bachelorette recap, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
I am in Ottawa. That's the housekeeping.
Yes, we're in Ottawa.
And as a result, I'm backed up. Like clockwork.
Yeah, increasingly as you travel, you encounter issues in that department.
Yeah.
So I think you're a little grumpy this morning.
A little grumpy.
Yeah, you want some relief that you haven't found quite yet.
Yeah, like when I was a kid, sometimes I'd get backed up and I'd be grumpy and I wouldn't know why. And I still wouldn't know why after it was resolved.
Yeah.
But now I figured it out as a middle-aged man that actually does make you grumpy.
Isn't it weird to think that you're middle-aged? Actually, I'm
You're
I'm
pretty
kind of
much-
middle-aged.
yeah, we're all middle-aged.
I'm like, you're middle-aged. I'm fine.
I'll always be more middle than you.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's funny that you mentioned being backed up because that's one of my most salient memories from being on the show.
Well, that's a really it's a great memory.
Everyone was.
So you were constantly backed up.
No, it wasn't just me. It's like everyone.
Because the food, everything was off schedule.
Yeah, and you're traveling constantly and you're not sleeping well. You're not eating consistently. And from what we were told by production, that happens every season. So you can assume that everyone you're watching on TV, if they're traveling, there's probably a lot of being backed up.
See, this is the BTS that people want to know about.
Kind of gives you a little heart for them, doesn't it?
Now I know why they're all so grumpy.
Okay, shall we get recapping Men Tell All?
Let's do it.
Okay, so season 20, Men Tell All. Jesse Palmer, who's proving to be a real pro at this.
He's so good.
Yeah,
Did
he's
he
really
take classes? I mean, I know he's been on ESPN.
I think he's just well greased.
I always
he knows
am
what he's
waiting.
doing.
I want to see. I'm like watching him so carefully.
Yeah.
To see if he. I watch him the way I watch Close Up Magic. I'm like, I'm gonna find it this time. I'm gonna see where he does, and he never screws up.
No, he really doesn't. And we laughed at when they showed his age. It's like Jesse Palmer, 44 host. And
Is that
it's
a
like,
joke?
Why? I don't know why they feel the need to do this. They didn't do it with Chris Harrison.
Is it a joke?
Okay, Jesse says something about Gerry. Oh, God. Gerry.
Gerry? Is it Gerry or Gerry?
It's Gerry, but it's spelled Gerry. And every time I look, because I spell it correctly in my notes, and then I see it and I say Gerry. So I'm sorry. Gerry the Bachelor.
I think it's Gerry.
No, it's Gerry.
Are you sure? Oh, it's Gary, like pronounced like Gary, like Gary.
Well, yeah, but
okay, so just think Gary. Don't think Gary.
Thanks.
Okay. I'm here for you.
Thanks for the pep talk. Okay, so he talks about asking Gerry later about fantasy suites, and everyone laughs at this.
Yeah,
we found this a little ageist.
What's wrong with that? I mean, Gerry is in... Oh, sorry. Gary looks better than a lot of 40-year-olds. Mm-hmm. So why is it funny that Gary's having sex? And you know what? People are so sensitive about all these ists.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not ageist? Is that not the ultimate epitome of ageism?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're 71 and you're having sex?
Okay, so at this tell-all are Spencer, Adrian, Peter, John, James, Caleb B, John Henry, Michael, Aaron S, Brayden, Xavier, Tanner, and Sean. So indeed, Aaron B did exchange tell all for Fiji, as we discussed last week.
That's an amazing trade.
A great trade, yeah. And we get our usual recap of the season, and this is mainly starring Brayden. And we marveled here at how a recap of a season of The Bachelorette could include so little of the actual Bachelorette. And as things hype up towards the end of this recap, Sean calls Brayden literally a cancer.
Gotta fact check that.
And don't show up at Men Tell All, you're not invited. Oh, what a good soundbite. Okay, This is all pretty predictable. It's the guys piling on Brayden for quote unquote questioning Charity, which I mean, if you watched our recaps this season, we did not feel that's what he did. I actually think he's within his right to be like, I want to see her off.
Of course.
And to suggest that you want to see someone off or not as the Bachelorette, I don't think automatically insinuates that they're being on or fake. You know what I mean?
Oh, I 100% agree. It's kind of like, I know Xavier committed some fouls, but one thing he did do, which he was really crucified for, was saying, I need to see more, meaning I want to see you in the fantasy suite. Yeah. But I believe what Xavier was saying was, I want to see you off camera.
Yes. Totally. 100%.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I got to see Juan Pablo off camera, like truly off camera.
Yeah.
And It was on my second one-on-one date. I hope people aren't bored when I give these anecdotes because I never want to.
They love anecdotes.
If you hate it when I tell you stories from my season, you could tell me and then I'll stop reading them.
They tell everything that they hate about us on the internet. There's plenty of resources for you to find out what they hate. This is not one of them. Okay.
So it was at the tail end of my second one-on-one in Miami. We were on this island and then we got boated back to the mainland. And on this boat ride, it was the evening and there was, for some reason there was a delay. We couldn't make it back. And so we had to sit there unattended for like half an hour without cameras or mics. I remember being like, I couldn't believe it. There was no one listening to what we were saying. It was a magical moment, honestly.
You probably got to know him like 100 times better in that half hour than you did the whole rest of the show.
It was a very telling half hour. And not in a bad way, by the way. It was like, wow, like let's take advantage of every minute. I can see why you would want, okay, we're getting caught up on the wrong thing here.
No, but in thinking about this, if I was with you while you were the Bachelorette and it was us, this is a little far-fetched, but let's just go with me here.
Yeah.
It would be like a dystopian nightmare to be with you while you were the Bachelorette.
It would be even worse with you because you would be all different and weird.
Oh, I would be way worse. I'd be the worst ever. I wouldn't be anything like me.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I guess this is all to say that we don't, once again, people have heard us say this, we don't think that Brayden did much wrong. The most noticeable thing about this segment is really the choppy editing.
Yeah.
The editing throughout this tell-all was a little questionable. It's like they wanted to include certain arguments, but then they cut the connective
And they
tissue.
just went to like applause.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, so that was it.
Yeah, applause tended to be like the default insertion. We couldn't even figure out whether Xavier or Aaron S. were Team Brayden because they started arguing about something and we weren't even sure what was said. So this was just a little chaotic. And now there's a discussion over Brayden having used the term classless. And this was pretty validating.
Yeah.
For us.
Just us.
It's always about us.
Yep, that's right.
But yeah, we felt if he had used the word, it was about the device.
About production.
Yeah, the device of her having this longest kiss record-breaking thing. But it turns out they couldn't even find the footage. And I love that they included that.
I like that too.
Yes.
Yeah, they keep trying to come at Brayden, and he keeps coming back with more evidence that everybody is wrong.
You know what I would have liked to have seen is that message show up, and we'd be able to see the guy's reactions, including Adrian's.
Yeah.
The one who claimed that he had used that word.
I felt cheated.
James says Brayden's issue is that he's too honest and wears weird earrings, and he doesn't see the big deal.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's how we feel.
That sums it up. We don't have to say anything more.
And now what is supposed to be a segment about Sean in Oceanside. They kept talking about Oceanside. I kept laughing. Wait, where was your song again?
I don't remember. But many people accused me of ripping off.
It sounded like another song.
It's like Rod Stewart. Have I told you lately that I love you? Is that what it sounded like? Oh.
This segment becomes about a guy named Peter. Sean says something and then Peter's like, whoa, 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 about what he was saying. And then Caleb B is like, who are you? He ridicules him here.
Yeah, I think Caleb B made the mistake. I don't know. This was just poor showing on his part.
Caleb B, it was not a good look.
It was not a good look. But I think he also made the mistake of assuming that the whole world is on an inside joke.
Or that his execution was funnier than it was. Like, if you're going to be that mean, you've got to be that funny.
Oh, he was
And Caleb B's not funny.
He was a 10 mean and a 1 funny.
Exactly. He was like, who are you? Oh, it's that guy. It was like,
come on, he's WWF. He's got to be funnier than that.
So apparently there was a post-filming public cast Zoom call where the cast zoomed. Yeah. And then I don't know what happened, but then they posted their headshots on Instagram. And then there was a little FP at the bottom of everyone's captions. And this was meant to mean fuck Peter.
I like the way they blacked out F on the FP. Like, we couldn't handle it. Yeah. We could talk about people having sex with like 3 or 4 people in
3
2
days
nights,
in a row,
but God forbid I see an F.
So it turns out Brayden had told Peter what this meant. And of course, people are upset at Brayden for doing this instead of being like, oh, that was kind of a crappy thing for us all to do. Xavier somehow thought it was a good thing to say that it was an inside joke and nobody would have known it was against Peter if it weren't for Brayden.
Yeah, and nobody would have known I buried him under the floorboards if it weren't for my pesky neighbor.
Yeah, the whole segment's very weird. I imagine Peter is must be annoying in some way for all these guys to be so annoyed with him with so little time with him. I really trust Aaron S. for some reason. I really like Aaron S. I mean, he was my wild card in episode 1. I always feel that he speaks truth.
Yeah.
And he gave the one, what felt like a relevant example of what made Peter annoying, which was that he asked about endorsement deals.
Yeah.
Instead, it was just all this like, so like we spent time together and suddenly everyone's saying, fuck Peter.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Why? We need more information than that.
Yeah. I feel like maybe some stuff Peter was doing was tongue in cheek and he got sort of chastised for that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
This was just not a good look. There was not enough context. It didn't feel like we knew enough about him to be hating on him. And so the guys just looked really petty and mean.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's possible that he does really suck. And if I met him for a while, I would also put FP, maybe on my Facebook profile. Yeah. But I didn't get it.
Or bleep P.
Yeah. No F.
Okay, so now it's Brayden's hot seat. We get the usual recap, and Brayden, I wrote, should be on payroll because of how much content he has provided this season. Brayden basically says it was never about Charity. He thinks she's amazing. It was the experience and the drama that got to him, which tracks with what he said on the show.
Yeah.
It tracks with people generally leaving. Like the times that I thought about leaving, it was really the experience that was getting to me. And then in the end, I left because I was like, okay, the thing that was keeping me here also, I don't feel confident in.
Right.
But yeah, nothing Brayden does. And I almost don't even want to talk about it because people are like, stop talking about Brayden, but we're recapping the show and the show always wants to talk about Brayden. It's always about Brayden.
If you don't talk about Brayden, what else is there?
What are we recapping? Yeah. It's annoying to me how they have to dance around, and of course they have to do this, but they have to dance around production. So every time John accuses Brayden of stealing his precious minutes that could have let him stay another week or whatever, it's like we know that Brayden was sent in by producers at that exact time. Yeah. And it sounds like he stood there for a while listening to their conversation.
As we said.
Yes.
It looked like that was obvious. He was polite. He's like, oh, they did this to me.
Yes.
They wanted me to interrupt John while he's kissing, but I'm not going to. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to let him finish. Then I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah. His face when he entered that room said it all. He was like, oh.
Yeah. It's a trap.
Yeah.
It's the face you have when it's a trap.
Yes.
It's like, in like Jurassic Park where the guy, like he thinks he has the sight on that Velociraptor.
Yes. And he's like, clever
and he's
girl.
Like, and then he smells the guy's like right next to him, the sister. And,
yeah. The dinosaur sister.
The dinosaur sister. There was yes, the woman dinosaur sister.
Doesn't he say clever girl?
Yeah, he says, he's so badass. When you're about to die to have a good line like that. I'm very impressed with that.
Oh,
he
love
is an
that
actor,
scene.
But, he's like, clever girl.
Yeah, I love that scene so much.
Eaten.
It shows respect for the creature that outsmarted him.
He feels honored to be eaten by this Velociraptor. It was an honorable fight.
The question is, would you rather be eaten by a Velociraptor or a T-Rex?
T-Rex.
Yeah.
Is that a real question?
Okay, just
the problem with the T-Rex is he might swallow you whole, in which case then you're just, I don't know how that goes down.
Yeah.
I've always wondered what gets you first if you get swallowed whole by an animal. I'll tell you, if there's a mean animal in the world, it's a Komodo dragon.
Okay.
There's these goats. I don't know. There's all these goats who live on the island and they eat them, and pigs too, and they eat them whole. Ooh. They literally swallow them.
Maybe they suffocate first.
I hope it's quick.
Yeah.
But I'm always worried, like what's going on there?
Yeah.
Like I'd rather just get like eaten in half by a T-Rex or a Velociraptor. I'd rather two Velociraptors rip me apart than a T-Rex swallow me. All right, have we gotten to the bottom of this?
I love here how Brayden clarifies there was no driver in the van when Aaron said, hit the gas.
Yeah, I like that too.
So he said that to nobody.
He's like, no, you were acting.
And something about that, it was the perfect dig against Aaron.
Perfect.
It was just, I'm stating a fact, and you can piece that together however you want to.
And there's no piecing it together. There's no response.
Yes.
What is he going to say? Oh, well, I was saying it figuratively.
Yeah, or I didn't see that there wasn't a driver.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so this wraps with Brayden giving Jesse Palmer clip-on dangly earrings.
Funny.
Which look shockingly good on him, actually. Yeah. And Jesse reveals that Brayden will be on Paradise, which is not shocking.
No.
And we see footage of him in Paradise with Kat Izzo, which makes us think, obviously, that they cannot end up together.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cute how Kat appreciated Brayden's quirks.
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah. I mean, they look good together.
They do.
I just really don't think they're going to end up together.
Good making out.
Yes.
Yeah, I felt the little heat.
Oh, it was a good kiss.
Oh, yeah.
Kat Izzo. We liked Kat.
Yeah.
She got a bit of a villain at it. We tend to come to the defense of villains.
I just think villains are inappropriately portrayed on the show. Once in a while they are.
Yeah.
There's obvious villains.
Yeah.
Everyone hates them. It's obvious. But sometimes they just say like, we don't have a good villain. Let's pick this interesting person.
Yes. So Andy, what would you say is the most important factor in a fresh meal that you get to enjoy at home?
Factor? Hardly know her.
So we're talking about Factor meals. I think we should stick with jingles.
Yeah.
But Factor meals, which are delivered directly to your door. Delicious, chef-prepared meals.
And dietitian approved.
Yes, never frozen, always fresh. If you want that restaurant taste in the comfort of your home without having to order in, which by the way, often doesn't even taste as good as it does in the restaurant.
No.
It's delivered to your door, you keep it in your fridge, and then you throw it in the oven when you're ready to eat it.
You know what I feel like when I eat Factor? I feel spoiled.
Yes.
I do. I feel like it's too much was done for me.
Well,
it's too good to be that easy.
To the point where we have a delivery timed for our return home because we're in Ottawa right now. Literally the same day we return, there's a Factor delivery arriving that day. So there will be no gap in our factoring.
No.
We're immediately going to be
factored in the gap.
Yes.
And you know what my one problem with Factor is? I eat them too fast.
Yeah.
They're gone. Because I always eat one. And it's not that it's not enough food, but the others are so enticing. I just want to taste.
And then suddenly you've eaten two.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I actually think the quantity is fantastic. They're really
perfect.
filling because sometimes I won't even be able to finish one and then I'll get a great snack later. It's good bang for your buck, honestly.
Would you say that we like Factor?
Yes. I would say that our like for Factor is factored into this ad. No. So our listeners, the Shandys, can head to factormeals.com/Shandy50 and use code Shandy50, that's 50, to get 50% off.
Again, that's code Shandy50 at factormeals.com/Shandy50 to get 50% off. So Sharleen, I went downstairs to the garbage room yesterday.
Yes.
And it was quite steamy out.
Yes.
And I will tell you that the smell I experienced when I opened our large bin for garbage bags was not good.
The communal bin.
The communal bin.
Yes.
And I knew right away. First thing I thought of was these people aren't using a Lomi.
Yes. Lomi is our electric countertop composter that has really, I think it's changing lives and it certainly has changed ours. You put in your food waste, your food trash, the leftovers, the stuff that, the part of the pepper that you don't eat or the leftover meal that isn't enough to get another meal out of. And then it, with the press of a button, will turn all of that food waste, which by the way, otherwise would go into landfill and over time turn into methane, which is a harmful greenhouse gas. Instead, it turns it into soil, nutrient-rich soil.
And can I emphasize that with the press of one button is not like some sort of come on.
No, no, it's not.
It's literally
literal.
One button.
It's a very satisfying button too.
Oh yeah. It's like, you know what it is? It's the button.
Elevator as a kid.
No, I'm going further than that.
Oh.
It's like in those really low budget, big action movies where there's like a giant button that's like self-destruct.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. What's better than a big button?
Everyone loves a big button.
Yeah.
That does good things.
Totally.
And I don't, what if a big button did bad things? Would you still like it? Probably not.
It would, but it would still be tempting.
Yeah, I'd rather, if something bad was going to happen, I'd rather a big button than a small button.
100%.
And with one press of that button, you are making the world a better place.
Yes.
And I don't exaggerate, because that food waste not only stinks up everything, it's disgusting, gets rodents, although rodents are probably happy, but we don't want them to be happy. Do we want the rodents to be happy?
We don't want them in our homes.
No, we want them to be happy in the fields.
Yes.
But you are removing harmful gases from the planet. You are removing stuff that will be in a landfill, weight from trucks that have to ship that to a landfill.
Totally.
It's just a no-brainer.
Yes, and the soil, by the way, you have sprinkled it all over your plants. People have commented on how this plant has gone through a journey. You know what's brought it back to life?
I know.
Loamy soil.
So whether you want to start making a positive environmental impact or just grow a beautiful garden like I have, Loamy is perfect for you.
Head to loamy.com/Shandy and enter promo code Shandy to get $50 off your Loamy.
That's $50 off when you head to Loamy, LOMI.com/Shandy and use promo code Shandy at checkout.
Thank you, Loamy, for sponsoring this episode. We agreed, Andy, that Brayden's going to go from so-called villain to fan favorite.
Absolutely. Countdown. The I told you so is in the oven. It's set at 350. And it is the crust is slowly browning. That's all I want to say.
And you say this with confidence after what we went through with Thomas.
Oh, yeah. So we such a bad guy. Yeah. So horrible.
We're going to be right in the
end. A lot of love he gets now on the gram.
Okay, can I just say, if we end up being right again, that Brayden somehow becomes a fan favorite and everyone's like, oh, we had him all wrong. It just wasn't the environment for him. That the third time around, people can stop hating on us for not hating on a villain. Isn't it funny people hate on us for not hating on the person they want us to hate on?
Well, they just hate on us for not agreeing with them.
Oh, yeah.
That's what people like to hate on the internet. They hate if we don't agree with them or you say something they don't agree with. We're the worst people in the world.
Yeah.
But that's fine. That's the way the internet works. I respect it. It is an ecosystem. But the difference between Thomas' situation and Brayden's situation is people didn't have time to really own their hatred of Thomas.
Yeah.
It was quick. They were like, wait, did I hate Thomas?
Yeah.
I think I did. And then suddenly they're like, oh, wait, Thomas, he's so tall and handsome and wonderful.
I love it. Did I hate him? I think I did.
Yeah. Should I start leaving comments on the internet? No, wait. No comments on this one.
Yeah, because Katie just sent him home.
Katie just sent him home. He was gone before they had time to really own it, to be like, this is part of who I am. I am a hater of Thomas. With Brayden, however, he passed that threshold. The people owned the hatred. It's just now part of them.
Yeah.
So when they have now been proven wrong, I'm going to say, after this mental, I'm taking the I told you so. I don't care.
Oh, no, it'll be after Paradise.
Okay, fine. You're right. It'll be fully after Paradise. Right now, it's as I said.
It's in the oven.
It's in the oven.
Yeah.
But they have now, it's part of their body. It's like an organ. It's like their pancreas.
Yeah.
So when someone says, I don't like your pancreas. No, it's my body.
The hatred is part of them.
It's part of them. So they can't just back off and be like, you know what, you're right. I was wrong. They can't. It's too late. They now have to double down.
Oh,
so it's over.
That's
no
not
one's going to come. Only a very small minority of people are going to come and say, you know what, I was wrong about
Okay,
Brayden.
So let's move on to another person people hate, and that's Xavier in the hot seat. This is, of course, the recap of his time on the show is very cheating, conversation focused. It's mainly about that. And Xavier says bringing up his past was him wanting to be so honest with her. And the conversation did not go in any way as he had planned. And he didn't do a good job of making her feel like she was the only woman for him.
I mean, he gets an A+ on his recap.
Yeah, definitely an understatement. Yeah. Xavier told her he loved her right before getting in the car. I don't know how I missed this.
No.
We did not mention this last week. We were distracted by something else.
And I totally...
Shame on us.
I don't know how that happened, but I totally get that situation.
Oh, yeah.
Realize
it's your Hail Mary.
Yeah, you realize you screwed up completely. I think I've actually done this before. And you're just
I love you.
You're like, okay, all right. It's like, you know what it is? It erases. It's like that thing, the thing where you draw the guy's face on the thing and then you rip the paper up when you're like 5 years old.
Yeah.
What's that called?
Oh, Etch-a-Sketch?
Etch-a-Sketch, yeah. And you rip it. I just ripped that I love you. I think is going to be a rip the thing off, but it's not. It's just over.
You want a clean slate.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the problem with that is I think sometimes that can be manipulative or be perceived as manipulative.
Sure,
and Charity, I think, rightly pointed that out later. But I actually also think that some people, when they realize they're suddenly faced with the chance of losing the person, they're like, they just let it all out. And it actually is true. I think it's often too late though.
Xavier's a confused guy. He doesn't know what he wants.
No.
Like he was like, I'm going to be really honest. Then he's like, wait, this is working. I'm going to be super honest. He's like, oh, that's too honest, Xavier. That's too honest.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I was too honest. Mm-hmm. And now I'm going to tell her I love her. He was all over the place.
Yeah.
He needs time. I think Xavier needs time to sort of find what he's looking for in life.
I agree. He's young at the end of the day. I can picture Xavier being the kind of guy who spends another 10 years dating.
Yeah.
And will probably learn a lot about himself.
I think he may need to. He's an unfinished sweater.
He says one of his biggest fears is his feelings not being reciprocated. He had said that on their first date together. And he said him telling her he was falling in love with her at the end of his hometown and her not hearing it back, those fears arose in him again. And Xavier says he was in love with her. It was difficult to move on. The feelings didn't just go away. He thinks of their time together every day. He has started therapy to work on himself.
You missed an important part. He's crying while he's making things of yarn. What do you call that?
He talks about the crying later.
Oh, sorry. I was touched. I really feel like at that moment there should have been a cutaway to a cartoon of Xavier crying while making a sweater.
I picture Aaron B. would like film himself doing that to provide footage.
Oh, Oh, there would be a totally produced film of him sewing that rose.
Yeah.
Or sorry, yarning, knitting.
Yeah.
God, why can I? You know what it is? It's the same thing as window and mirror.
Yeah.
I have an issue. I have to think. We've talked about this on the Q&A or something.
Yeah.
I have to think before I say window or mirror. It never goes away.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with sewing and knitting. I'm never going to do it again.
But for me, it's east and west.
Okay, that's a little more logistical. But I get that too.
No, it just takes me a second.
I totally get that. No, I totally get that.
Okay, so he has started therapy to work on himself. He wants Charity to be happy. But of course, how does Charity feel about him?
No.
So now Charity arrives wearing a red mini dress with strong statement shoulders and long sleeves and a very deep plunge. Oh my God. I loved this.
Me too.
Her hair was side parted and to one side it was down. Of course, would I have preferred some sort of an up or mostly up, some sort of a big power ponytail? I would have personally, but she still looks really gorgeous. Like I think that she made the hair down work. It's just that to me, this dress was about the shoulders and
the red.
Yeah, and the red. And you always notice, you have a thing about red
men are
dresses.
suckers for red.
Is
I
that
think it's
true?
pretty universal. Yeah.
All men?
No, not all men. I would never generalize that much. I'd say 75% of men are a little bit suckers for red.
You, for some reason, if I wear red, you're like, wow. I'm like, really? Red doesn't look better on me than the next color.
It's blood. It's the color of blood. It brings out like passion.
Really?
Yeah. I think.
I should put more red in my wardrobe, I guess. I don't have much.
Yeah, but it's also obvious. Now that I've gotten older, when I look at someone who has like a really shocking red dress on, I'm like, wow. But then I'm like, wait a minute, it's red. Don't be fooled.
I love that that's the life lesson you've learned. It's red. Keep your wits about you.
You've been here before, Andy.
I really love how Charity didn't fall into the trap that I feel sometimes people do when they go on these live shows, which is looking really different.
Yeah.
Like, I love that she made a statement, but she still looked like her. You know what I mean? How some people come on all these months later and you're like, they look good, but like they don't look like themselves.
It's like they got like a new wardrobe director.
Yeah, too much makeup, too much hair, too much outfit. Charity looked like Charity. She still looked gorgeous, but she was still making a statement. It was really lovely.
Can I tell you something about Charity? I'm going to make a call here.
What?
I think Charity is a diva in hair and makeup and wardrobe. Yeah, and they're like, Charity, no, trust. We have a dress for you. You're going to love this. She's like, no. I am not. I'm wearing this.
You only feel that way because of what we learned about her night one dress. About how,
subconsciously,
like, a day before, she was like, actually, I want strapless instead of halter.
Isn't it funny how the brain works? Like, in a million years, you could have had me get water torture. I never would have remembered that memory. But it drove that comment I just made.
So Charity talks to Brayden. She says she was hurt by him saying he wanted to see her, quote, off, and she gave him her true authentic self, and she was hurt by the things that he had said to the other guys. Brayden says from the beginning he wasn't sure it was the environment for him. He just really liked her, and he said that when he's asked questions about how he's feeling, it's not his best suit keeping them to himself. And she kind of like rolled her eyes at this, but this ends amicably.
Yeah.
It's like she appreciates the purpose Brayden served on her season almost.
Yeah.
And we all know, I think, that Brayden was never going to be her final guy. Mm-hmm. And I will say this. Oh my God, I sound like you. That's something you say.
We've taken each other's things.
Oh, what's my thing?
I don't know. Maybe you've just taken my things. You know, sometimes we'll be out in public and you'll do a thing that I do and I'll be like, she shouldn't do that. No, because I don't like it in me. Oh. Like you'll do a thing. I'm like, oh no, that thing that I don't like about me is rubbed off on her.
Oh no.
So I wish, look at the inventory you have, pick something else.
Oh no. Next time point it out immediately.
Yeah. I think sometimes you do things that I do.
We spend too much time together.
Yeah, we do. We
Way too much time.
We got to start taking some vacations from each other.
But I will say this. To me, Brayden, like there are way worse versions of a Brayden on other people's seasons. Like you always want someone like this who, you know, creates so much content for you to have and is the reason why you're tuning in week after week. Even if it's to hate on him, it's eliciting some kind of an emotion in you. But you don't want it to go too far. And so I think he left at the right time because if it reaches like hometowns, then you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
We need something new to sink our teeth into. And for me, the ultimate example of this going wrong is Corinne on Nick's season. I always thought Corinne was too much of a player on Nick's season. She never should have made to hometowns. Like, it became too much. It's when the beast becomes too big.
Sure.
So I actually think we got the right amount of the right kind of villain, quote unquote villain, with Brayden, personally. Okay, so now we get Sean. And of course, Sean, he's so special. He's like, can I come up there? And no one says yes. And he just goes and sits up in the hot seat.
Now, what if Brayden did that?
Oh my God, such a good point. If Brayden had done that, everyone would be like groaning, rolling their eyes. Why is Sean allowed to do that? And
why is Sean allowed to not be villainized on the show at all?
I mean, I agree. Sean, to me, actually, I think on another season or without Brayden around would have been the villain.
Absolutely.
I don't think he quite has the self-awareness.
He wasn't entertaining enough. Brayden was more entertaining.
It's so true. Okay, so he goes and sits there and aggressively kisses Charity's ass here.
With no content. It was just like plain vanilla ass kissing.
Honestly, this stuff drives me nuts. It's like, what questions do you have for Charity? And he's like, oh, can I come up there? Like, it's going to be some heart to heart. Then he just proceeds to tell her how amazing she is, how wonderful she is. It was the most amazing experience of his life. They're all better men for having known her. Like, I think that the sentiment is nice, but the performative nature of this is in the context of him having a question for her about their relationship. And he was never invited into the hot seat. It just felt like, okay, now let me please. I've been training for this. It felt so performative.
I do not like that Sean. I do not like him on a boat. I do not like him on a plane.
Okay, continue.
I don't know the rest.
No, go. You can rhyme.
I do not like him in a house. I do not like him with a mouse. I do not like him in a field. I do not like him unpeeled. It's not going well.
Thankfully, Sean is kicked out of the hot seat. I do like this about Jesse.
Yeah.
He's like, what the heck, dude?
Yeah, he's making fun in the correct places these days.
Totally agree. John is asked if he has any questions, and he does that thing that I always wish people wouldn't do, which is he's like, well, I was surprised to be let go and Scamania and, what happened. Like, when you're let go and you're let go with like 6 or 7 people ahead of you, it's okay. Like, you don't need to ask a question.
I agree.
It's just called rejection.
I concur.
And Charity says what she can only say, which is that it was nothing he did, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now Xavier, hot seat. He's actually formally invited into the hot seat.
Well, this is a proper hot seat.
Yeah, and Sean is like grumble, grumble.
And the seat is warm from Sean.
Xavier says he denounces cheating. He never thinks it's okay. He can be that faithful person, and it didn't come out the right way.
So he had a lot of time to think about this, and he said the right things.
Yeah, well, Charity, she rolls up her long sleeves. She says she would have wanted to know that sooner. She would not have taken him to Fiji at all because she would have known, had they had that conversation sooner, had he revealed the cheating thing sooner, that he wasn't ready. I think she's within her right to say this. This is definitely one of those, like, we got a lot of that in the comments. People are like, he'd waited too long to bring it up. I think you could also argue that he didn't wait too long because it would have been a lot crappier if he had waited till after overnights. But it's like, that would have been super crappy. I agree. He should have brought it up sooner.
It was execution here.
Yeah.
His execution here was terrible.
I also think there was an element to Xavier, though, where he didn't think he was going to make it as far as he did.
Yeah, I think he was a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, am I really going to go like, this is it? I'm going to win the Bachelorette?
Yeah, or make it quite far. I think that he made it further than he expected to, and even further than Charity expected to bring him, honestly. And so it was one of those things where suddenly they're at overnights and he's like, I really need to tell her this. But depending on your bias towards Xavier, like obviously we have a heart for Xavier in this, which people had an issue with.
Just a little.
But, you can either look at that through that lens, which is like, things got away from him and, this is his first time in this situation. He brought it up when he realized he needed to. And other people, if they're looking at him through this more evil lens, would be like, oh, he waited too long. He was stringing her along. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you could argue either side.
It was way more nuanced than people want to make this seem. What he did was a very sloppy execution of somebody who's stressed out, not saying what they mean necessarily, possibly exaggerating their improprieties because they kind of want out. They're looking for the exit. And he said something that could not have a response. That was my big issue, is that what is Charity supposed to say when he says, I don't know, I can't promise you I'm not going to cheat on you? What are you supposed to say? She's like, okay, well, let's roll the dice.
Totally.
So he clearly screwed up. But
no one would admit he screwed up more than himself.
That's the thing. It's like you have to appreciate humanity. Like people go after people for being human.
Yeah, and as though they've never done a shitty thing ever in their life.
Yeah, he who cast the first stone.
Yeah.
Like, give me a break. When I was a kid, my favorite book was Ferdinand the Bull. It was about this bull, like a bull, not a cow, a bull. And he was supposed to be in bullfights, but he didn't want to be in bullfights. He just wanted to sit under this tree and just sort of like watch the bees flying around and just enjoy the sun. And no matter what they did to try to make him bullfight, he would never do it. He would not run. He would not go after the cape.
Oh, that sounds like such a good book for you.
Oh, it was delightful.
Child.
It shaped my life. Maybe a little too much. I went too far to that. I went too far. But I feel like Xavier is Ferdinand. Like, it's like they wanted him. They're like, go, do this, win the Bachelorette.
Yeah.
And he freaked out. He said things. He probably is less of a cheater than he made himself seem.
Totally. He was just like trying to be that honest.
Oh, and by the way, cheating is bad. We know cheating is bad.
Yeah.
Under no circumstances is cheating good.
Yes.
This has been a public service announcement.
Yeah. Thank you for addressing that. Xavier says when getting married, there's a fear that it's not the right person, a fear of commitment, and she agreed. And he allowed that to consume him instead of allowing himself to hone in on what was beautiful about being with her. I think this is extremely honest.
Yeah.
I think the people that tend to get cast on this show are the other kind, the people who hone in too much on what's beautiful about being with the person. And that's what allows them to fall to the point where the rug is pulled out so aggressively from under them.
Sure.
But once in a while you get a Xavier type. And let me tell you, I'm a Xavier type.
Just be careful because the internet is very touchy. You're a Xavier type in the sense that you act in a certain way during the show.
I need disclaimers before I say that. No, but I relate to his doubt, to him questioning all the things that can go wrong and how much he can compare this to, which is not saying a lot because he doesn't have any other options in this scenario. I actually think he would be better served in a setting like Paradise.
I agree.
I just think it's more complicated than
and by the
some
way,
people are making
can I
it
say another adult conversation, part two? This one, Xavier wasn't sloppy in.
Oh, he
said the right things. And honestly, look, give the guy a break.
Yeah.
Give the guy a break. He screwed up.
Yeah.
He screwed up in a very human way.
Yeah.
50% of the presidents we've elected over the last 50 years have been known cheaters.
Yeah.
Known. That's the known ones that are obvious.
Yeah.
One did it in the White House.
Yeah.
So shame on us, right?
Yeah. Xavier says he thinks about that conversation every day and has shed tears about it. There's your tears, Andy. And he says it was tough to share that part of himself and have it go so horribly.
Yeah.
This really stood out to me. I mean, as we said, cheating bad. I definitely think he did a bad thing. Apparently we did not make that expressly clear enough last week. But
we should have subtitles.
Yeah. It's tough sometimes recording. It's like you have so many thoughts. You don't necessarily word everything you want to say. But
I'm sure Xavier felt the same way.
Right?
On the spot.
When you can prepare, it's so much easier said than done.
It's like anytime like someone says something to you that really annoys you. And like 3 days later, you think of the best comeback ever.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, I would have thought of that on the spot. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't have. You'd just be like,
and when you can hide behind your keyboard, you can really just log in 3 days later.
Yeah.
And
anytime
the
you
sense
want.
of time is lost, right?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, something about this revealing a side of yourself that you're not proud of, that you're ashamed of even.
Yeah.
He did that. And I'm not saying that he should have expected otherwise, but it really did blow up in his face in the worst way. So like we're talking millions of people calling him a terrible person. Yeah. I know that if I had done that on my season with the darkest parts of myself, like that would leave me feeling pretty bad, honestly.
The difference is you would have executed better. Xavier, the F he gets is on going too far and not reading the room and not really thinking about the ramifications of what he was saying.
Yeah. The bleep he gets.
Yeah.
Xavier says he wishes his answers reflected the kind of man he wants to be in the future, which is, and here we get Word Watch 1, Andy. He says,
I wish my answers reflected the man that I want to be in the future, which is a faithful man to his wife.
And he thanks her for allowing him in that space. He wasn't trying to just have sex with her. He wanted to hear her more and deepen the connection with her. And here we get Word Watch 2. Xavier says,
I genuinely saw you as my wife.
back to back.
Yeah.
He says he was trying to do everything in his power to make sure she knew exactly who he was, which I believe. Like too much so. That was, you know what that was underselling.
Absolutely.
He was making himself look and sound worse.
He was giving the worst part of him. He was just like, this is the absolute worst it can be.
Yeah.
So do you still like me?
Yeah.
He wanted off the show. Let's
did.
be honest.
I
But
agree.
he confused. You know what he did? He mixed and matched.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wanted off the show, but he also did things that were not fair to Charity. Like it was kind of like he confused the objective.
I agree. I think he wanted off the show, but he didn't want off dating Charity.
Yeah. And he couldn't have both.
Yes. If you want this girl, you got to stick around for the next 2 weeks and be ready to literally propose, commit yourself to her forever. And it's like, what if I need more time than that? But I really like the girl. It reminds me of what we've been saying about Dotun. It's like Dotun likes Charity in spite of the fact that she's Bachelorette, not because.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah. And you cannot have your cake and eat it too, especially when it comes to telling the woman you may spend the rest of your life with about all your cheating that you may do in the future.
Xavier says he still has those feelings. It's nice to even sit next to her because the experience messed him up.
Yeah, I believe it too.
And now he gets up, and this was so annoying when we realized. In the previews, they made it seem like this was some fight they were having.
Did you fall for it? I did.
I kind of fell for it. Him getting up and leaving and Charity being shocked. But he actually goes to get her a gift. And this is a rose that he knit for her.
Are you kidding me?
And he gives it to her and says he hopes she found her forever person and that she's going to do great things. And what I even liked, he didn't hide it behind his back. You know who would have hid it behind his back? AB or Sean. One of those two guys totally
Sean,
in this situation would have come out with it behind their back and been like, surprise. Xavier just went and got it and gave it to her.
Yeah.
You know,
No
there was
tricks.
no fanfare.
Nothing. All honesty. Just like, this is what I have. I have a rose for you. It's right here.
And it was a gesture and something he made with his hands.
You know what you do? You know what putting it behind your back does? It makes it like you get credit for it.
Totally. And it makes it so you're like, ha, 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 like I'm patting myself on the back.
Yeah, like here's your present.
Yeah, your present.
Yeah, from me. Say thank you.
This didn't even feel like a present.
No, this was like a sorry. This was a sorry knitted rose.
Yes, a sorry.
A sorry. A sorry.
You're in Ottawa. Say it right.
Sorry.
Well, Andy, we may be in Ottawa right now.
But my cozies... Wait.
You didn't think that one through.
Did not.
Your cozies are still on your legs, even if they're not on our bed that we're sleeping on currently.
And I noticed the difference.
House.
No offense to your parents' sheets. They're fine.
Yeah. No, they're nice. They're nice sheets.
They're fine.
But they're not cloud-like and they're not cooling.
No, they don't cradle me.
Yes, because Cozy Earth's bed sheets are made with viscose from bamboo, making them super, super insanely soft, honestly.
And Oprah feels the same way.
Yes, they've been on Oprah's favorite things list for 5 years in a row, which is pretty crazy when you think about how many bed sheets there are in the world and how few things Oprah puts her stamp of approval on.
Of all the things there are that you can buy, there's got to be more bed sheets than almost anything.
There's a lot of bed sheets.
Yeah, I go to the bed sheet section. Like, I don't go. That's like saying like every week, I'm like, oh, I got to buy bed sheets again. The bed. But when I'm there, I'm always over. Okay, again, I have to qualify this. It's been a long time since I've been in a store looking for sheets, but I remember the experience, and I remember being overwhelmed. There's like walls up to the ceiling of bed sheets.
Let's talk about thread count for a second, because I remember always being really wrapped up in thread count and overwhelmed by that and thinking, oh, well, the higher the thread count, the better it is, right? Like the softer it is. Let me tell you, I have had everything from low thread count to high thread count cotton sheets in my day. Nothing is as silky soft as Cozy Earth's viscose from bamboo. And those have costed way more than Cozy Earth does.
Yeah, and by the way, it translates into the pants. Can you see? Hold on.
Your little legs are so cute.
Can you see that? Can you hear that? Can you hear the softness?
Bring it up closer. Get that leg higher, Andy.
Here.
Get your leg higher. It is so soft. You wore those on the plane and then we wear them around the house.
I like these Cozy Earth pants.
Yeah.
I like them on a plane. I like them on a train. I like them on a bus. I like them when I'm having a fuss. No, I'm really not good at that.
So for a limited time, our listeners, the Shandys, can save up to 40% on Cozy Earth.
Go to cozyearth.com/Shandy and enter promo code Shandy at checkout to save up to 40%.
Try them for 100 nights, and if you don't sleep cooler, you can send them back for a full refund. Again, that's cozyearth.com/Shandy.
So Andy, when I was in high school, I had a bunch of websites. That was what I did in my free time. I loved making websites. I was always making graphics and things and putting them together. And it was in my wildest dreams that one day I could just drag the things around the page.
Squarespace, you can drag the things around and put them where you want.
That was actually way more concise than what I said and in song. But for real, Squarespace 7.1, I love all versions of Squarespace, but their latest one, on which I made dearshandy.com, is truly magnificent. Squarespace is your destination for making a gorgeous website with little to no coding experience. And back in those high school days, I taught myself how to code. I would learn like HTML codes, find the CSS, do all the things to put in that spot. Now I'm just like, I don't know if I like that graphic there. I'm just going to put it over there, and I just tap it and drag it. And then the features are out of control. If you're selling product, you can do checkout on there. You can have an online shop. You can even do payment plans. You can have video galleries. You can do online scheduling, analytics, mailing lists, everything you could need for a website.
And it's the ultimate teach a man to fish application.
Totally.
Because if you do not use Squarespace, you will end up paying someone else to catch your fish, thousands and thousands of dollars, and you will be beholden to them to continue to update your fish. Okay, this has gone too far with that metaphor.
We knew what you meant, though, and it's totally true. Squarespace is honestly so easy to advertise because I've been using it for a decade. I love it, and the proof is in the pudding. Go to dearshandy.com to see our website on Squarespace.
So go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Shandy and use offer code Shandy for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Again, that's squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Shandy and use offer code Shandy to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
All right, charity, thanks, Xavier. And that's that. Kind of feel good in the end somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have unseen footage. There's the fashion show during the Barbie date. Very weak. It was clear they had built this entire clip around Caleb B making the comment, "This takes balls. Unfortunately, birthday suit Ken doesn't have any."
Yeah.
Caleb B.
Yeah.
I'm not into Caleb B.
I'm not that into Caleb B either. Caleb B lost me slowly as time went on.
Yeah,
but
I
I liked him at first.
Yeah, I liked him fine at first, but he never really blossomed.
No, he's too performative.
I agree.
And that's what he does.
Yeah. We have the dodgeball clip all about the guys' discomfort with their teeny tiny Speedos. Yeah, this is, I got to do that thing I do. I'm so annoying when I do this, but imagine reversing the genders. Can you imagine if the girls were given teeny tiny thong bikinis?
Yeah, and razors. Yeah, can you imagine?
Oh my God, the razors. And then just the filming of them showing their discomfort at showing so much of their body and like wearing something so small and tight. Like, can you imagine?
I couldn't even imagine that from like 30 or 40 years ago.
No. Okay, and then we get bloopers. The highlight for us was definitely multiple guys hitting their heads on that big lamp.
That was funny.
And then Brayden being the one to say, they got a lot of low-hanging shit here. We actually laughed out loud.
That was perfect timing.
Even that, something about that was a microcosm of Brayden to me. Yeah. He actually hit his head less than the other guys. The editing made it seem like he hit his head really hard, but he didn't really. They didn't really show him hitting their head. But they would have shown it.
He noticed that it was like, oh, I just tapped my head on it. And what do you say? There's a lot of low-hanging shit around here. Perfect thing to say.
Yes. Instead of hitting it and being like, like I'm not going to say anything remotely critical or could be perceived as remotely critical.
You know what the thing about Brayden is? Can I sum Brayden up quickly, if possible? Brayden has, if there's 1 to 10 of confidence, he has 10 confidence.
Yes.
And if there's 1 to 10 of flaws, he has like a 2. And that combination is very unpalatable. It's hard to correlate. And I think people see that as arrogance and self-absorption.
Yes.
And I do not think Brandon is those. Also Brandon, he's great.
One of his flaws is also just a lack of reading that room. You know, it takes some self-awareness that he must be lacking,
right,
to not annoy people around you.
That's a side effect of utter confidence. Like he's so confident he doesn't care.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so now, there's also a clip where Jesse surprises Charity and Tanner making out as Bigfoot.
All right.
That was poor grammar. A clip where Jesse, dressed as Bigfoot surprises Charity and Tanner. I can do this. This was really, And it goes to show that Tanner,
yeah, like he had a shot.
Yeah. Even his makeout session.
Can you imagine like Dotton and Charity getting interrupted by Bigfoot?
Now we see Captain Tom. He was the one captaining that boat in the bayou. Andy, you said he's so getting laid tonight. I mean, you gave Captain Tom your A game. Yeah. He says Miss Chastity there.
You know what I love about it though? I love the way he corrects himself to Charity. Then he's like, no. Chastity's right.
He is asked to give his rose to someone because no rose was given out on that date. And he gives his rose to Sean. But while heading over his way, he's like, I don't know. He is so great.
Oh, he's good.
Okay, now
he'll be back, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
He's basically on payroll now at ABC.
He should be. So now we get Trista Sutter, Deanna Pappas, and Desiree Hartstock arriving, and we get a quick recap of their big moments on their season. And here we get Word Watch 3, because during Trista and Ryan's wedding, the officiant says,
I now pronounce you husband and wife.
Classic.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I like that.
This is just a love fest between all the women. Charity asks Trista for marriage advice, and Trista says, little forgivenesses throughout the day. Yeah. I love this. I think it's true.
I think it's true too.
Yeah, not holding grudge. What's going on over there?
I'm just it's just a lot of.
What are you suggesting about this segment, Andy?
There's always these circle jerks at the end of these shows.
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to do.
Okay, so now we get Gerry, our Golden Bachelor. We learn a bit more about him. He married his high school sweetheart in 1972. Her name was Tony. And they were married for 43 years. They have 2 daughters, 2 granddaughters. And Tony was found to have a bacterial infection. This was after they had finally bought their dream home on the lake together. This is where they planned on growing old together. This was in 2017. And she had a bacterial infection in her kidneys and liver. And I said to you, Andy, isn't it crazy how that can happen? But then, Andy, you said bacteria was around first.
And they were around, bacteria was around 2+ billion years before we were.
Mind-boggling.
Do you know why the sky is blue? It was the bacteria's farts.
Are you serious?
I'm kidding? I'm not. The bacteria that first came on Earth farted oxygen. The oxygen seeded the atmosphere. Without that bacteria, there'd be no oxygen. We breathe bacteria's farts. But that's not the most amazing thing. The most amazing thing is bacteria was around 2+ billion years before anything else was alive on Earth. Think about that.
Yeah.
2 billion? 2 billion?
Yeah.
And they're going to be around till the sun burns the core of the Earth.
Yeah, way past us. Laughing at us for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here we get Word Watch 4, a rather somber Word Watch 4 in Gary's voiceover. He says,
I took my wife to the emergency room.
We did not see that one coming, that Word Watch. And she ended up passing away shortly thereafter. And so now he lives alone in that lake house that was really her dream. This is really heartbreaking. Very cute footage here of him practicing holding the rose at a rose ceremony and his daughters and granddaughters like critiquing his seriousness.
Oh, yeah.
I love his willingness to cry on camera. Like he's very emotive.
And cry for like very cryable things. I mean, he's got a heartbreak story. I tell you, I was holding back some tears.
Yes, very moving. And, it would be easy to find a guy of his generation who could not be so emotive.
I don't know how they found this guy.
Yeah, honestly, we kind of have
tremendous.
If AI were more developed.
No, when you said that, I actually for a second had to think, wait, is this AI?
Yeah, he's really perfect for the role. I cannot wait for his season.
This is going to be truly the greatest season of all time. Or is it the most dramatic, they say?
I don't care if it's most dramatic. I think it's going to be the most real because I don't think he's capable of faking it. We are starved for something like this.
Yeah.
Especially this audience.
I think Golden Bachelor has legs.
Okay, so Gerry finally arrives. He says he feels like he's the last ingredient going into a smoothie. I enjoyed this analogy, but Andy,
decent analogy.
You weren't.
But he had it canned. It was ready.
That's okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
You prefer an analogy that's made up on the spot.
Off the cuff.
Well,
but it's okay. Look, trust me.
Not everyone has your talents.
If I was, no. If I was going to be on that hot seat in front of live TV, I would have 100% had a canned analogy ready.
And there's a hilarious segment now where the guys from Charity's season give Gerry advice.
This is
something about Brayden. This is where the self-awareness thing comes in. Something about Brayden, 24-year-old Brayden telling Gerry to just be himself. I was like, okay.
You know what? I'll tell you something. Brayden held me for the whole season and he finally cracked with this last thing.
Totally. And now he's asked if he can find a love like that twice in a lifetime. And Gerry says it's not about finding a love like that. It's about finding something else. He's not looking for a love like the one he had with Tony. We're very into him. I just can't wait.
It's great.
Yeah. And in the preview for the rest of Charity's season now, we hear 2 wives, but it's previews, so it doesn't count. Just had to point that out. Okay, so now we get credits, and this is Gerry meeting the guys and just generally some friendly small talk. This was, just niceness. He was almost too nice, Gerry.
Too nice.
Like almost like too...
He was almost too nice.
Yes.
You're right.
He was almost too reverent towards these guys who I felt were undeserving of his reverence.
I think he actually legitimately feels like he's with a bunch of cool guys. Like he feels like a young guy again. I get it. I mean, it's,
he's
okay.
The best. Okay. Yeah. Andy, do you have a winner of your A game? Need I even ask?
Gerry. Gerry. That's going to be hard. I got to remember Gary Rafferty. He sang, da na 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 na. But who's laughing? Who's laughing now? Oh, the sax solo. It's like da 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 da.
Oh, da 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 da. Wow. Oh my God, how insane, how famous is a sax solo that's what gave me that song.
This is one of the greatest sax solos of all time.
Yeah, I mean, one of?
There are other good ones.
Really?
The Bruce Springsteen fans are going to be very upset.
Okay, sorry. Okay, pardon me. All right, so moving on to our word watch for wife. Mm-hmm. And how many correct guesses were there, Andy?
123.
This was sort of an exciting one for us because we felt 4 was an interesting number.
Interesting number.
And wife was an interesting word, and we'd never done it in a tell-all. It was exciting. Okay, our winner of the Hello Tushy bidet and stool set... valued at over $150 is Jamie Linder. Congratulations. Very exciting. Great prize. Good callback prize. Yeah. Please email us by this Friday at midnight to claim your prize. And Andy, have you thought about what the word for next week is? The grand finale.
Finger.
Keeping with tradition. I don't even know why I even ask you anymore. It's always finger for the finale. Mm-hmm. It's a good one.
That should be the catchphrase.
It's always finger for the finale. So we have a very exciting brand new prize. This has been quite the season of prize shakeups.
Yeah.
I mean, people in the past have been like, can we get different prizes? Isn't that funny that people ask that? It's like we're giving away something every week.
This podcast sucks. It's always the same prizes I get for free.
Okay, well, we listened and we had variety. And this week we are giving away a pair of Aliana Rose sunglasses, a pair of your choice. These are valued at $225. Ooh. Solid prize. You get to pick your model. And this brand, it's an independent luxury eyewear designer based in New York City. They're designed in New York. It's optometrist founded and woman founded, by the way, I gotta say. They're made with Italian acetate and they're vintage inspired designs. I love her stuff. She's got these cool asymmetric frames. They're just different. Her stuff is different. I love it. Yeah, it's a great prize. $225. If you guess correctly, the number of times the word finger is uttered in the finale, you must submit your guess by commenting either below this YouTube video or over on the Instagram post for this recap. Do not email us. Do not DM us. You must use the numeral of the number of times you think the word finger will be uttered, and you must use either finger or word watch in your comment. You must include those words. Oh, you must submit your guess by this Friday at midnight. If you guess correctly, you will be entered in a draw, and then one name will be plucked, and that person will win a $225 pair of sunglasses. Designer.
I mean,
it's fancy.
What more do you want?
Yeah. It's a very ritzy prize this week.
It sure is. And we have to specify that the word has to be used in the proper episode.
Okay, so this is not after the final rose.
No.
Okay.
This is just in the actual, like, what do you call it? The non-final rose.
Yeah, the Fiji. It has to be in Fiji. So even if there's like a hot seat in between, sometimes they'll do that because it's live.
Yeah.
So they'll show the scene and then go to the hot seat live. It has to be filmed in Fiji.
Yes.
Okay. Not live. Nothing live. Okay. Okay, Andy, that is it for, I mean, we don't have to do predictions because everyone knows what we think is going to happen.
Yeah.
So do you have any final thoughts on this tell-all? I actually, to be honest, kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, you know what? I actually thought that we got to see some more, ironically, some more relaxed versions of
everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also noticed, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I noticed that no one didn't like Brayden. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it felt like time has passed and maybe like some of them had been on Paradise with him. And we all know that villains go on Paradise and become friends with people that they had previously hated.
Yeah.
Case in point, Shanae and Genevieve.
Yeah. I'm just saying that when they went after him because they had to. It was part of the contract.
Oh, it almost felt like there was a twinkle in everyone's eye.
Yeah,
when
they were like, like Sean's like, okay, well, Brayden, here I go. I'm gonna go after you, and he's like, all right, man, it's cool. Come on, bring it. It's okay, I can take it. And like everyone was nice to him. No one was coming after him in that sort of Gerry Springer way.
Totally. I think that's what I liked about this tell-all is that it never reached Gerry Springer.
No.
It was always like, yes, we got the hashing it out, the talks, but no one was threatening anyone with violence.
No.
No one was screaming. No one was like cursing at each other.
Yeah.
And
the closest it came was Peter. Peter did get some hate, but who knows?
Yeah, but even that felt like it was retroactive. It was like the hate had already happened.
Sure, yeah.
That was the one thing where I was like, oh, that's not great. But I also feel like we don't have enough information. So I don't know. I didn't mind this tell-all. And it was the first tell-all in a while that I felt that way about.
I agree. I usually do not like tell-alls.
Yeah.
But I was totally okay with it.
I always like tell-alls if I'm honest.
You love
even when I don't
tell-alls.
like a tell-all, I like a tell-all. I want to see how people behave after watching themselves.
Yeah. I respect
Even if
that.
I don't like how they behave, I'm like, interesting. Stroking my beard. Okay, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah,
for
that's
tell-all.
it.
Okay. If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram, and
TikTok,
leave us Apple and
Spotify,
podcast ratings and reviews. Tell your friends, and generally do all the things that I should mention at the top of every recap, but always forget to do. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye.